Well, hi, everybody. I'm your host, Jay Jennings, here at the Horror Museum in downtown Transylvania. And we have another great podcast for you today. And we're going to be discussing a Karloff Lugosi collaboration. The person who joins me, and as we discuss everything Universal and Poverty Row, is the one and the only Courtney Joyner. Hey, Courtney, how are you?
The two icons that we honor the most.
Oh, I thought you meant you and I are the two icons.
Oh, absolutely, yes. We're not quite on the same. It's a sliding scale,
Right,
but
we're down in Visaria, and they're up at
so
Frankenstein Castle. But anyway, this is a show I've been waiting to do, where we get to talk about our one of our two favorites, Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. I think they did about 8 collaborations, if I'm not mistaken. A couple were comedies, like You'll Find Out, and another one or two that I think Peter Lorre's in as well, Kay Kaiser, a few others, and they're like musical things. They have a little bit cameos. I don't think that you can really call that a collaboration.
like a gift of gab.
Gift of Gab, right. I will start off, I guess we'll just talk about The Invisible Ray first, and I'll just give a synopsis and try to show some photos. The Invisible Ray stars Boris Karloff, and let's see if I can get him up here. There he is. And it's a great film, and it's actually one of the first science fiction, I think, horror slash science fiction films, made in '36, and directed by Lampert Hillier, who did a lot of The Addams Family and other movies. Karloff plays Dr. Janos Rook, right there, a scientist who comes in contact with a meteorite composed of an element known as radium X. After exposure to its rays, he begins to make him glow in the dark, and his touch becomes deadly. So you don't want him to touch you. And he begins to slowly be driven mad, where all the people he at the beginning of the movie loved and respected, he now wants to kill. So he just wants to touch them because thieves, because he thinks all the other scientists have ripped off his Radium X and want to use it for their own deeds. But anyway, it also co-stars, as I said, Lugosi, the beautiful Francis Drake, Frank Lawton, Walter Kingsford, Beulah Bondi, Violet Campbell Cooper, and Nydia Westman. Prior to this film, Universal was originally going to develop the film Bluebeard for Karloff and Lugosi. That's weird. What are they going to take turns playing Bluebeard? But when that production didn't start, Universal wanted to release a new film, and so they hired Stuart Walker and screenwriter John Colton to make The Invisible Ray. But Walker was dissatisfied with Colton's script, and he requested a 3-day delay. Universal said no. So that was a conflict of interest, and so Walker didn't want to work on the film anymore. Maybe Court can go into that a little later. But anyway, the production, he was replaced by Lampert Hillier, and and they completed the film a little over budget and stuff like that. So I'm going to show some more photos as we continue. And Court, tell us about the production. Why do you think Stuart Walker was replaced?
Well, Walker and John Colton, of course, had just collaborated on Werewolf of London, and I think the movie was a little beyond Walker's reach, quite honestly. Edmund Granger, the producer of the film, he ended up being a pretty big guy. Had a long collaboration with John Wayne, Wake of the Red Witch, and he produced The Sands of Iwo Jima and what have you. And he saw The Invisible Ray as kind of even though done on a Universal budget, but as an epic. And with Lambert Hillier, I mean, my God, the guy he was like so many of these directors from the 30s. It wasn't just that he was a journeyman, but he was an effective journeyman, and his background was Westerns. And he was a very, very favoritized director of William S. Hart and Tom Mix and Buck Jones. In fact, he had directed Lightning, which was a major hit for Buck Jones at Universal. So he was not considered if you will, science fiction or horror guy, although he directed 2 tremendous genre movies, The Invisible Ray and Dracula's Daughter.
Right.
And yeah, I just think he's wonderful, and I love this movie. It is my favorite Karloff Lugosi pairing, actually.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent film, and we're gonna just I'm gonna show some more photos from it as well. Let's get a shot of Lugosi, as I'm going to be actually showing photos to the sides of both you and I as we discuss. He has a great role in this, obviously, and Dr. Rook, played by Karloff, he's invented this telescope where you can look far into deep space, into the Andromeda galaxy. And he has this great showing at his, I guess, I don't know if it's his house or it's at the same place where they have at the, what's it called, Court, where the telescopes are and you look at the moon.
Oh, his beautiful observatory, and it's all plugged into that castle, that gorgeously designed set, and of course too, and of course George Robinson was the prince of Universal horror because of his skill as a cameraman. This movie is gorgeously shot. And that first stuff with Francis Drake and the cloak is blowing in the wind when she goes, Janusz, everyone is here, and she has to, they do these kind of little, if you will, technical flourishes where she has to enter a secret code so the doors slide open and she can go meet her husband and everything. And that's one of the things that I really, really like about this movie is that Karloff is so obsessed and dedicated to his science. Oh, that's a great, great scene. But he has this young wife who actually loves him genuinely and understands him. And it's not the kind of blow off thing that you saw in Werewolf of London. She is completely devoted to him. And I just think that's so refreshing. John Colton, of course, very famously wrote Rain, which became Sadie Thompson, one of Joan Crawford's most famous vehicles, and was a huge hit on Broadway and was remade into a movie also with Rita Hayworth. And so he could write about these things. So I just think the emotional foundation of The Invisible Ray is very sound, and the performances are terrific.
Oh, absolutely. And there we just saw Frances Drake, beautiful actress,
Gorgeous.
right? And she's in Mad Love with Peter Lorre, just a great, great actress. So it starts off this great, I think it's a 5 minute scene at the observatory where Karloff, Janusz Rook, is invited. All these, I guess, dignitaries, including Lugosi, who's rival at the time, to see what he's discovered. And it's this, I guess, this ray, first with this X-ray, first this intergalactic, I guess, yeah, X-ray that can go millions of years into the past and show you what happens. Very George Millet-like, Court, kind of trip to the moon. And they're all startled by it, and Lugosi is like, I don't believe this. We're here to disprove him. And there's a great scene where Rook and him meet, and he says, I'm glad we can see eye to eye, but yes, but I see 200 miles past you. So I mean, there's some great dialogue in this film, but it's a worthy science fiction film. It's got a lot of effects that look like they're from maybe Flash Gordon serial Court.
Well, they do it. It feels at times like Flash Gordon, particularly like in the design of the telescope. Later on, of course, when Karloff uses the ray itself, a bit of the meteorite, and he's got the gun that shoots the ray, and it's when it's unfiltered, and it's this weapon of destruction, and we see it. But I love that moment when there we go, when they are looking at the past via this ray, and they see the meteorite striking Africa, and it's a wonderful effect by John P. Fulton. Just great.
Right, and no, it does strike Africa, and they're all, oh, well, that's coincidentally, that's where Lugosi and his group of scientists want to go to try to find, I guess, this meteorite. And Carl, well, maybe I should go. And Lugosi's like, well, maybe you should join us. Because there's ulterior motives, but they both want to, I guess, claim ownership to this, even though Lugosi says I'll give you all the credit, but Karloff's like, okay, sure. But one of the great lines that Karloff's mother was almost like a soothsayer, kind of like I don't know, she like a medium. It's like she says, okay, you're not a people person, Janos. The experiments are your friends. And, it's just she gives these little kind of one-liners of kind of things to come because she kind of can see that things aren't going to end well for him, for Boris.
Well, and of course, the when you say soothsayer, very apt in this case. Claire Kimball Cooper, she's wonderful, but she's blind.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right, that makes sense. But how does she stand up on the top of the stairs by herself? What's helping her
Well,
see?
no, remember he restores her sight
Oh,
with the
that's
ray.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, and so anyway, there's a scene here where they go to Africa, and there's a lot of I don't know what you call them, workers. Were they slaves? I don't know what you call them, Court. But they're working for the expedition, I guess, to find the meteor, and that's where I guess Karloff, send this letter to my wife, who I guess he's wrapped up into his work so much, Court, and she's starting to fall in love with someone else, or does that come later?
Well, that's the thing. They're all there, and no, they have bearers and runners and all that stuff as they traditionally did on safaris at that period, and so they're all in another spot. Lugosi and Francis Drake and Frank Lawton and Beulah Bondi, Kingsford are all together, and Karloff doesn't want them breathing down his neck while he is working with Radium X. And while he's working on Radium X, which first, of course, here he's demonstrating it to the natives, and it's a weapon, and it melts the rocks and all that stuff in a very kind of almost Shandu the Magician style.
Right.
His wife, Frances Drake, against her own judgment. I mean, the scenes are very well played with her. She and Frank Lawton are really falling hard for each other, and they're tortured by this.
That's true.
There's
There's a
kind of
little
a
guilt.
cavalier love affair in Werewolf of London that is a little, I don't know. I've always felt sorry for Henry Hull because
Same
yeah,
way. You feel sorry for Karloff in this.
you
So,
you you
yeah.
know that's the thing. Francis Drake and Frank Lawton are completely on Boris's side, but he doesn't see it. And of course, she actually goes to him with a runner, and he rejects her because he's already infected by Radium X,
All right.
and he doesn't want to kill her.
Right. Right. While we're talking, or showing how later on how Lugosi is experimenting with Radium X. He's trying to, I guess, use it for good. This is a very rare role for Lugosi, where he's actually playing a good doctor. Name me another film where he plays a good doctor, where he cures a little blind kid and another one that can't walk. So where Karloff's character is slowly going mad, um, and I guess and then he's giving him some injections. I think, yeah, doesn't Lugosi give Karloff some of his first Radium X injections?
Yes, the whole thing with the Radium X is it has to be filtered in order to actually be a medical tool.
Right.
Unfiltered, it is this weapon of destruction, which, is like what people were thinking about in terms of x rays and things like that and medical technology at this time. And so, but by filtering it, narrowing the beam down, and all these things, it can be used for, it's like kind of this cure all for supposedly every disease in the world, I guess, or every affliction. And, Karloff feels like, wait a minute, you've stolen this from me. And his own purposes for Radium X are all well intentioned, but Bela Lugosi gets there first.
Right. And one of the saddest scenes is when, before he goes mad, is when Karloff's dog or his lab comes to see him. and he touches him, and then the dog, they probably shot this backwards because it looks kind of awkward, where he kind of slowly curls into a ball. I think he probably got up from the ball and got up, but then they probably reversed it. But he touches him and he loses his friend, and it's a touching scene. Not very many touching scenes with Karloff, but anytime an animal is kind of put down, it's kind of sad, no matter what year or era it is, Court.
Yep.
So,
And oh yeah, I mean the dog dies, and of course Karloff, turn off the lights, and he glows like phosphorus.
right. When they touch them, they die.
That's it.
Um, right. And so one of the great scenes, kind of like later, like the Scarlet Claw, Court. What do you think?
Oh, very much so. I mean, this was an effect that John Fulton could do so well, but you have it here, you have it in Man-Made Monster,
Right.
you have it in the Scarlet Claw, the universal glow, and it's wonderful. And the idea, of course, with Karloff and this infection is he is literally burning up from the inside.
Oh, right. And so he needs to take injections, I think, to keep it at bay.
That's
And
right, and a serum that Bela Lugosi has developed for him.
right. And yeah, or otherwise he does burn up, right? His face
Yeah.
smokes and stuff like that. And then he just gets to the point where he thinks he's been deceived. Every 10 minutes, thieves, thieves, and Lugosi keeps telling him, but you're going to get the credit. Stop calling us thieves. But anyway, so Rook, as you said, cures his mother's blindness despite her warning. He goes to Paris, and I guess he wants to fake his death to, I guess, start exacting his revenge. So he finds, I guess, what is a homeless guy at a soup kitchen, Court, um,
Yes.
and what he uses him to, I guess to make it like he died from Radium X. So they identify this bum's body as Rook, so he could go on, and by this point he's already starting to be mad and he wants his revenge on the thieves. So
And with whoever he touches dies, and then he uses the invisible ray to melt one of the saints as kind of a symbolic gesture of I'm going to. And I love. There's a wonderful shot, a wonderful optical where Karloff is looking out of his window in this tiny hovel that he's rented, and he sees all of the members of his safari, all of his scientific troop standing above this church as the saints, and then they turn into the statues.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a good shot. And so yeah, I mean, Karloff's got kind of a very thick head of hair in this film, um, and it's funny. He's kind of kindly. He made a bunch of these films where he's a kindly scientist who, because of some reason, a bad serum or an experiment gone wrong, he becomes this evil old man. Uh, uh, scientist who just wants to, he's kindly, but he's evil. But at this one, he's kind of sympathetic too, Cord.
I think he's completely sympathetic, and I know you're referencing really. I think more of the Columbia Mad Doctor series,
Right,
where
right, right.
generally
The
Karloff.
man, the man who they could not hang, and he made those slew of other movies where he plays that kindly doctor who
Yeah,
just
the man with 9 lives, Before
right
I hang, the
before
devil
I
comes.
hang,
Yeah,
that kind of
and
stuff.
it's the thing is, it's always like the turn because whatever discovery he has made, this thing that should benefit everybody always gets twisted around.
Right,
And then suddenly it's like, I've been wronged by so many people and they're responsible for this scientific failure. So he goes on the rampage. But here on the Invisible Ray, what I love about it is yes, that is true. With he perceives Bela Lugosi, who's also the toast of Paris now, because he's this doctor who can cure all these people, and everyone's coming to him, and he's become this very prominent, kindly figure. But Karloff has lost his wife. That is one of the major driving forces, and it took a long time for it to happen. Francis Drake and Frank Lawton didn't just run away together. They think he's dead. So, Karloff is just, but he perceives everything as a slight. Everything is a wrong. And he just gets further and further, down the road, including using Frank Riker as a decoy to get into the house to kill everybody. We love
Right.
that.
Right.
Anytime you can use Captain Englehorn, you got to use him.
Right. And then finally, he one by one he wants to kill everybody, and he keeps putting his hands on top of his other hands. No, I don't want to kill him. Yes, you do. No, you don't. And he finally corners Lugosi, Dr. Benet, and he says, "So you come to kill me too? I have to kill everybody who's a thief." And well, I'm not going to. He reaches for a gun or something, and of course he touches him, and that's that. So I mean, so he meets that end. So as I said, it's just kind of interesting to see the roles reversed. One's a protagonist, one's an antagonist, depending on if it's the Black Cat or the Raven, or even in this film. But this film, as we discussed before the show, I don't think gets enough credit for its, I guess, where it stands in early science fiction horror. I mean, it is really a top classic, Court.
Oh, absolutely. And it is beautifully made and it's elaborately made. And there are sections that some people say, well, my gosh, part of it feels like a Tarzan movie because of the safari material, and which is, I guess, is true to a degree, but it is science fiction, it's horror, but it's also an adventure movie. And then there'd be these just tiny touches just beyond, the general fabric of what you see in universal horror of this time. And you just showed a shot of it, which is with, I believe it's Walter Kingsford's death, and Lugosi uses the camera to capture the image of Karloff in his pupils as the very last thing that he has seen before he dies.
Right. No, there's some
And
great touches, exactly.
yeah,
And
it's just sprinkled with things like that, and just wonderful. And again, of the movies we're talking about today, also good old Francis Drake. There is something there that kind of, honestly, sometimes some of the, we love them, but the Universal starlets didn't always have, and that is real sex appeal. And but goes beyond that. She's just a sensuous looking woman, and uh, that adds so much instead of the kind of prim and proper stuff sometimes you'd see. Uh, and in fact, I'm going to kind of criticize one of our other movies because of that.
wait till we get to it, Court.
I'll wait till we get there. But I think that, and also too with the Invisible Ray, is although Karloff is affected mentally and all the rest of it, he's not demented in the sense that he, is trying to conquer the world, or he's trying anything like that. No, his motivations are completely understandable. And of course, at the very end of the film, he apologizes. There it is. He's burning up from the inside, and he's confronted by his mother.
He says, "You're right.
And
Maybe this is better."
yes, this is better because she, more than anyone, knows the sacrifice that he has made for science and everything else. Okay, Janos Rook dies, but Radium X and all the good it can do continues. Even with Bela Lugosi lying dead in his office, it's still, Radium X will continue, which is something that does not happen in any of the other, really, excuse me, any of the other Karloff Mad Doctor pictures.
Right. Radium X lives. It should have been a sequel,
Absolutely.
Radium X. But with John Carradine continuing the studies. But no, that's a great film, underappreciated. That's why we spent a
Very
half
much.
hour talking about it. It needs to be talked about. Great science fiction, horror, almost jungle serial. It combines so many things. It had elements, as you said, Court. I guess some of the special effects from Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein as well were used. Some of the electrical effects and stuff like that.
Well, I love the design of the telescope. It feels like Alex Raymond had designed it. So you look at it and you're going, in some ways, the invisible ray captures the graphic glories of the Flash Gordon comic strip almost better than the Flash Gordon serials. Obviously, the Invisible Ray was made for a lot more money than
with a touch of some German expressionism
Yep.
thrown in. So great film, The Invisible Ray. I'm glad we were able to dissect it and talk about it, and it's just a great film to see. What great collaboration!
Again, from the director of Dracula's Daughter. I mean,
Right,
why isn't Lambert Hillier sitting on top of a directorial mountaintop for these
right.
two
Two
accomplishments?
masterpieces, exactly. So, Court, thank you once again for
Thank
another
you.
thrilling show, and I want to say thank you for everybody who's watching.
Now
So,
you have to do your farewell as Bella Lugosi.
so from Bela Lugosi and Courtney Joyner and Jay Jennings, I bid you a farewell. Okay, that's a little over the top. So we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us. Join us next time when we'll cover other topics like universal horror, Poverty Row, and profiles on people like Bela Lugosi, John Carradine, Peter Lorre, and even on myself. Until next time, stay scared.